Namaste and good morning, everyone. Let's start our Thursday class. And these days we are doing the Taittiriya Upanishad in this class. So let's start with some prayers. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhu Bhuvaswaha, Tatsavitra Varenayam, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Diyo Yo Naha Prachodayat. Asto ma sadgamya, tamso ma jyotirgamya, mrityurma amritam gamya. Om Sena Bhavatu, Sena Bhunaktu, Saviryam Karvavahi, Tejasvi Navadhitamastu, Ma Vidvi Shavahi, Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti Om. Let's do the Shanti part of this Upanishad also. Om Shannoho Mitraha Sham Varunaha, Shannoho Bhavatu Varyama, Shamnoho Indro Brihaspati, Shamno Vishnu Urukrama, Namo Brahmane, Namate Vayo, Tvam Eva Pratyaksham Brahm Asi, Tvam Eva Pratyaksham Brahm Vadishyami, Ritam Vadishyami, Satyam Vadishyami, Tat Mam Avatu, Tat Vaktaram Avatu, Avatu Mam, Avatu Vaktaram. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti Om. We're going to start the section 10 today. And in this section, there's only one verse with a beautiful analogy of a tree. Aham vrikshasya reriva, kirti prishtam gire iv, udharva pavitraha vajini iv, swamamritam asmihi, Dravingam Savcharsam Sumedha Amritaha Akshitaha Iti Trishankoho Ved Anuvachanam. Aham means I, Vrikshasya of the tree, Reriva, stimulator. Kirti, Kirti means glory or fame. Prishtham, a peak. Gire, of the mountain. So say peak of the mountain. Iv means like. Udharav, high. Pavitra, pure. Vajini, in the sun. The essence in the sun, Vajini. Iv means like. So Amritam, immortal being. Asmi, I am. Dravingam, power and wealth. Savcharsam, effulgent with intuition. Sumedha, intelligent. Amrit, eternal. Akshita, undecaying. Iti means thus. Trishanko, the seer, Trishanku. That's the name of a seer, Trishanku. Ved Anuvachanam, the sacred recitation. I am the stimulator of the tree of universe. My fame, my glory is high as the peaks of the mountains. High and pure I am, like the essence in the sun. I am the power and the wealth, effulgent with intuition. Intelligent, imperishable, and undecaying I am. This is the sacred recitation of Trishanku after he realized the truth. This mantra can be a formula for repetition to be used for all of us. Because this mantra tunes us up for bringing out the song of our soul from our heart. Because these words are like explosive words. They came out of the mouth of this unknown seer. His name is Trishanku. On his self-discovery. So by remembering these words or thinking about these words or contemplating on these words, we can at least tune up to that kind of a frequency. I am the stimulator of the tree. We all know it's a tradition of Hindu thought from the early days of the Vedas to consider the entire universe the form of a tree. Rig Veda asks, what is the tree out of which heaven and earth are fashioned? Mundak Upanishad, picture of the tree referred to as the universe. In Mahabharata also, we find a full description of the Brahma Vriksha. Taittiriya Upanishad speaks of Ashwatha tree identified with Om. I'm sure you are familiar with the Vishnu Sahasranama, like 1,000 names for Lord Vishnu. Tree is counted as one of the names of the Supreme Lord. In Svetaswar Upanishad, they all refer this tree. In Bhagavad Gita, we saw the exhaustive description of it. The finite world of polarity is conceived of as Ashwatha tree, the banyan tree. Banyan tree is relatively immortal due to its long days of existence and even large number of branches, so many leaves, so many aerial roots. It's almost like a 1,000-pillared park with that banyan tree. But the real meaning of Ashwatha means that which will not exist tomorrow, no matter how long it stays, but it's not eternal. That which is finite. So this tree of universe representing in itself the entire world of objects, how is it vitalized? It's vitalized by the eternal power, all-pervading consciousness. And that is the goal for all of us, to realize that eternal. So this is what it really means over here when he says, Aham Vrikshasya Veriva. So Rishi Trishanku, he was successful in rediscovering himself to be this spiritual perfection. That's why this is also called a song of ecstasy. You see the joy coming out of him from this blissful experience when he realized his real self. Because this is extremely subjective experience. That's why he's saying, in fact, he's crying it out that I, the pure self, the conscious principle, the infinite reality is the stimulator in the entire tree of universe. This is our universe, the microcosm. And I am the sap of this tree, sap of life. From the lowest to the highest, this is the sap. It is a law in the nature that the illuminator is always separate from the illuminated. Okay. So just like electricity is separate from the bulb. So that's why this stimulator is separate from the tree. Atma is separate from the Prakriti. That is a law of nature. In order to really experience it, we got to have faith in it. And Trishanku declares over here that I am the power and wealth. Ordinarily, we constantly struggle to acquire wealth. And having become wealthy, still we are not content because there is somebody else who has more than we do. To realize and live as the vitality behind the tree of the entire universe is to realize at once the wealth. Then you are content. That's why he mentioned the wealth, the power, because with the wealth we want to buy power. But once we have this kind of a wealth, this subjective experience, we have power. We don't have to buy the power. We don't have to struggle for that power. So wealth, power, joy, and perfection that is enjoyed and experienced at all times when you have this subjective experience. At all places, all at once. Then another thing he adds in there, intelligent, imperishable, undecaying, I am. This is almost like a final explosion came from his heart. Because this is expression. This expression by which this great Rishi Trishanku seems to burst out in expressing his experienced bliss of perfection. And that's why he's using these words over here. Because we all know that finite world, no matter how beautiful it is inert. It is perishable. It's decaying. That's why he's using the opposite words to express this divinity. He says intelligent, not inert, imperishable, not perishable, and undecaying, because it does not decay. So Trishanku is helping to convey to us the otherness of the infinite from what we know and experience in ourselves right now. Because right now we feel finite, we feel limited, we feel powerless. So he says, that is only an egocentric misunderstanding of the identification. He says, remember our real nature as he says, I am living and I'm experiencing is the highest purity. That's why peak of that mountain is nothing higher than that. Greatest sense of detachment from our false values. So this is what this Rishi is giving the example to these students, the experience of Rishi Trishanku. Okay, because sometimes we understand from the examples of others, from the experience of the others, and then we get motivated that we should do that too. Walk on this path of purity, path of spirituality. Now the next section has several verses. And this is almost like a convocation message to the students. They are ready to leave the ashram of the Guru. And Guru is giving some guidance how to live in this world when you leave the ashram also, the Gurukula. Verse number 1. So it's like a convocation address actually. Vedam anuchehe acharyaha ante vasinam anushashati satyam vad dharmam cha Swadhyayat ma pramada. Acharyaye priyam dhanam ahrite prajantum ma vyavchetasihi satyatna pramidvatvam dharmatna pramaditvam kushlatna pramaditvam bhataina pramaditvam swadhyaye parvachanabhyam na pramaditvam. Vedam, the Vedas. Anuche, having taught. Acharya, the teacher. Antevasinam. Antevasinam means the students who live in the ashram. Okay, they lived with their guru for some time. Antevasinam, the resident within the ashrams, disciples. Anushashti, enjoins. Satyam vad. Satyam means truth, vad means speak. Dharmam char. Dharma is the duty, char means perform. Swadhyayat. From the study of Vedas, ma means never, pramadvaha, swarva. So that means do not move away from the study of the Vedas. Acharyaye, for the teacher, priyam, agreeable, dhanam, the wealth or the gift, ahritye, having given. Prajantatum, line of descendants, like a praja. So prajatantum. Ma means not, vyavchetasihi, you sever. So do not sever. So ma vyavchetasi. Satyat, from truth. Na means not. Pramaditvam, fall. See, this word comes from pramad, when we become lazy, when we become careless. Dharmat, from duty. Na pramaditvam, same word, never fall. Kushlat, what is your own welfare? Kushlat, your kushal. Na pramaditvam, never be indifferent. Bhatai, your prosperity. Swadhyay, the study of the Vedas. Parvachanabhyam, propagation of the truths from the Vedas. Na pramaditvam, never be indifferent. So again, he is advising his students who are leaving the ashram. He says, having taught Vedas, the preceptor enjoins the pupils. What is he saying? Speak the truth. Do your duty. Never swerve from the study of the Vedas. So that means keep on studying. Do not let go of your studies. Do not cut off the line of descendants in your family. After giving the preceptor the fee, he desires. So that means first give the fee and then have children. Never err from truth. Never fall from duty. Never overlook your own welfare. Never neglect your prosperity. Never neglect the study and the propagation of the Vedas. So this chapter, the whole chapter actually, not just this verse alone, represents the convocation address delivered to the students when they are leaving the Gurukul. See, Kul means a house. So Gurukul, the house of the Guru. It almost represents the Hindu commandments. And the entire address very systematically is concluded in 7 waves of thoughts. Number 1 is advice is given regarding ruling your own mode of living with reference to the society and yourself. Second one is regulating one's relationship with the last generation and the present elders. Third advice is about relationship with oneself and one's teachers. Fourth advice is one's attitude towards the learned and the wise in the society. Number 5 is about charity and the law of giving. Number 6 is remedy for doubts regarding your duty and conduct in life. And number 7 is doubts regarding your relationship with others falsely accused in the world. So this is what we'll see in the entire chapter. I think altogether there are 8 verses in this chapter. So teacher is asserting that these commandments are to be strictly followed by every true Hindu. We got to maintain such a subtle and divine culture among us successfully. And it has been going on unbroken for such a long period of our history. We still see, I mean, maybe not completely, but we still see elements of it in our society. Because the entire wealth of knowledge gained by the rishis during their experiments with the world of the objects, thoughts, ideas, they have been brought through the temples and the libraries to the homes and the fields. That's how we practice Vedas. That's why it said it's a way of life. It's not just only prayers in the temples. These are the values we need to live by day in our families. He says Satyam Vada. The first wave of thought, you can call it, Guru's advice. Because this is our relationship with the society, should we speak truth? In our personal relationships, in our family also, where we work also, we expect everybody to speak truth, but it should start from us. Truthfulness consists mainly in uttering a thought as it actually perceived. So that means there has to be a harmony between our thoughts and the words. There shouldn't be any hypocrisy or any vulgar motive to do injury to others. That's what our Vedic rishis teach us. We should have a moral courage to express what we sincerely feel. Choose the right words, right time. Because if there is a disparity between the thoughts and the words created in our mind, we will lose our power, our own power. Anybody who lies, they can't even look in the eyes of the person they are talking to. There's a hypocrisy. That's how it impoverishes the individual's mental strength, willpower, or even determination. So this Rishi is telling the students, Satyam Vada. So truthfulness in its essential meaning is not merely giving to one's honest feeling truly and effectively, but attunement of your mental thoughts and your intellectual conviction has to be in alignment with it. So this Satyam Vad is a very deep message over here. Dharmamachara. Dharma is another word which has no corresponding word in English. Because somebody in a haste translated as righteousness. But to me, I think it's too meager of a word to carry the complete meaning or the contents of Dharma. All those fundamental values of life, which are universally good at all places and at all times, from the rock bottom foundation of all efforts at moral and ethical perfection. Our temples teach them, churches, they talk about it, mosques also, synagogue, gurdwaras, they all talk about it, the dharma. Dharma muchara. These are the eternal duties of every person who wants to live up to the full dignity of the human. We need to strive consistently to grow into our full stature, not just as a human man, definitely not become an animal man, but we got to rise to the God man in this very life. Because a human man is what? Lot of Rajsikta. What is an animal man? Lot of Tamsikta. So we got to become a Devata. Help others, even if it hurts me. That is our dharma. So we got to understand, sure, for the convenience, we say dharma is a duty, but we got to understand completely what a duty really means. Again, remember, Hinduism is built on duties, not on rights. Entire Bhagavad Gita talks about it. Duty. Duty as a Kshatriya. Duty as a Brahman. Duty. A civilization which is based upon rights will definitely fall. Because our instincts will make us fight. We will like to acquire more. We will like to hold more. We want to keep and maintain just ourselves. But when we talk about the duties, we will develop the whole society. And we will keep the peace in the society also. So that's why the Vedas, they talk about the duties. This is a fundamental privilege of a human life. Duty develops the spirit of giving, the urge to be a charitable. Instead of lust to hoard or the anxiety to keep. So these students, young students, as they are leaving the teacher's presence, they are advised to keep this principle of fulfilling their duties towards their relations and towards themselves. So satyam vad dharmam charsa. Traditionally, the students in the Vedic time, they were not insisted to pay the fees before they entered the Gurukula. Education was free. But as soon as the student reaches home, he starts to work any kind of a vocation, and the earliest earnings entirely they went to the Gurukula. Because they felt that we lived there, we learned so much. The Guru's ashram has to be there for the future generations. So they sent their wealth to the Guru. So not in the beginning, not when they entered, only the princes did. When Lord Ram and his brothers went to the Gurukula, sure, the parents had all that, they were kings, so they could give, but the others, they did not. Or Lord Krishna, when he went, he was a prince. The wealth went with him, but Guru did not ask for it. But the Sudama did not, he didn't have any. But when they leave Guru's ashram, whatever they make, they are supposed to send back to the ashram. So after paying the fees, the student is advised to enter the householder life by marrying a fit person. And then he is advised that he should live with her enjoying a perfectly controlled indulgence. He is advised that he should not break the line of descendant. Okay, that's called praja. I mean, the sequence of thoughts are very important over here. After giving the feast to the Guru, do not cut off the thread of progeny. That means plan your life. You are entering into the next stage in your life. Plan for it. But first, to become economically independent, learn some kind of a trade, start some kind of a business, assure a comfortable income, and the next duty in life is, scriptures say, marry and maintain the line of the descendants in the family. But then this is followed by a series of warnings, though. Not to swerve from truthfulness, not to swerve from the duty, not to swerve from the personal welfare and prosperity. So these qualities also, like truthfulness, etc., they become very creditable virtues. Or they can become a liability on the devotee if you don't pay full attention to it. So we got to live a life intelligently. Kushlat na pramaditvam. Never swerve from skillfulness. Kushalta. So Rishi is advising these young boys, young students, how to live a life. The art of living. You have the nobler values, but do not let anybody pounce on your nobler values. You got to protect yourself also. Never neglect your welfare. They should not, on any score, neglect their welfare. They were asked to be prosperous, Why? So that they can serve others. Because whatever you have, only that you can give. If you want to be charitable, you better have some wealth. If you want to give the knowledge, you better be knowledgeable. So the rules of charity follow soon in this very section as the next thought. We'll see that. So the ideas of truthfulness, duty, cleverness, prosperity cannot be healthily developed and efficiently maintained unless we have a spiritual stamina in ourselves. So that's why this Guru is reasserting that we must pursue the study of the scriptures. We got to keep on putting that knowledge. We got to know what the real message of the Vedas is. Make it a mission of your life to spread those truths. And you can spread the truth only if you know what the truth is. So there has to be a missionary zeal in the students also. Continuation of this verse. Let's look at one more and then we'll stop the class here and then continue next week, because this whole chapter goes together. देव पितृ कार्यभ्याम न प्रमिदित्वम मातृ देवा भव पितृ देवा भव आचार्य देवा भव अतिथि देवा भव. Dev Pitri. Dev is the gods. Pitris are the ancestors, the departed people from our family. Karyabhyam, from your duties. So from your duties towards gods and the ancestors. Na means not pramaditvam, swarva. Do not show pramad. Matri deva. Matri is the mother. Mother is a dev, God. Bhav, being. Pitri deva bhav. Father is also a God. Acharya deva bhav. Your guru, preceptor, is like God. Atithi, the guest. Because in the householder's place, guests come to. Guests, Deva, God, Bhav. Never swerve from your duties towards gods and towards the ancestors, the departed souls, the mains. They're called mains also. May the mother be to you a God. May the father be to you a God. May the guru be to you a God. May the guest be to you a God. This is the culture. Seeing God in everybody. But at least seeing God in those people who have given us life. Mother and the father. The guru who has ended the ignorance from our mind. See God in him. See the God in your grandparents, great-grandparents, the elders who sacrificed, who lived, who paved the path for you. See God in anybody who comes to your house also. Atithi Devo Bhava. In the Upanishadic times, Vedic times, there were no deities as such. Fire ceremony there was. They saw God in the nature also. So by giving these kind of messages, some idol or the living expression of a divinity, they supplied to these young people. That was the whole purpose. Don't go home now and think that you are bigger than your father and the mother. See God in them. So this was like a source of constant and unbroken inspiration this Guru is putting in this young kid's mind. It's almost like a process of constant upasana. The student is told that he has to be all through his life one to whom his parents are expression of godly qualities. The young people, they should respect. Sure, revere also the wealth of experience the old have, because they have lived a longer life than these young people. So it's not like an authority in the older people. Sure, the younger people will have more knowledge. As the technology grows, they have more knowledge. But the older people should not be rejected, discarded, or ridiculed. They have wisdom. They have lived a life. So Rishi means that the youth should be made to work respecting the old. So that's what it means. It's more like a upasana. Next week we'll see how the actions can be done without any blemish. How can we follow those virtuous actions which were done by the Guru and the elders, and still at the same time just not to do which were not done virtuously. So we'll see that what kind of advice he is giving in this verse number 3. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vishishyate. Om Shanti 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 Om. Thank you very much.